Welcome, everybody. Simulation Talk 142. How fitting that is on Christmas. That's pretty awesome. And this light is super bright. Let's see if I can lower it just a little bit. I guess it's festive. It's Sapian. Are we living in a simulation? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We live in a computational environment. The word simulation in this context means, I guess, a parallel slice of reality. So parallel worlds is what we're looking at, but they are computationally simulated. Merry Christmas indeed. How do I replace the batteries? So should be really simple, Antheon. If you have any issues with that, you can email me. What is that? Oh, interesting. Well, welcome everybody on TikTok and YouTube and X and Twitch. Thank you for being here. Merry Christmas, everybody. But yeah, you can email me to lasersimulationx@gmail.com. In fact, we have a new email. Hold on. 1 second. TikTok, don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. How are you, Sarah? Good to have you with us. Maverick Star. So yeah, and Theon, just email me at lasersimulationx@gmail.com. For now, we have a new email coming up just for all the order stuff with all the instructions and everything. Go to reality.com. This is the website, just to remind everybody on it. My email is listed, but it is lasersimulationx@gmail.com. The website is codeofreality.com. And welcome to all the new listeners. Sarah B, good to have you with us. What is the broader picture? A simulation ran by someone, something. What does it all mean? Well, I mean, these are a lot of questions, and the answer to those might take a second. We can address them, of course, but let's first land into the chat. Ian is coming in swinging. What's up, Donald? Again, Merry Christmas to everybody. I'm going to wait just one more minute for people to show up. That was a bad simulation joke. Wait, hold on. Oh, got it. Nice. The batteries of the simulation, you mean? I don't know. I've never seen a computer that works on batteries, I guess. I guess that's why the joke was lost on me. How are you, Cindy? Good to have you with us. Holographic. Oh, love and curiosity forever. Love and curiosity forever sounds like a really good rule to follow. Okay, so first of all, what did you guys do for Christmas? Who's spending time with the fam? Who's spending time with friends? Who's spending time alone? What part of the simulation are you in? Could not find a video on how to make the spirit molecule, Maverick Star. Again, you have to go to YouTube, and it is on YouTube. It is, hold on. If you type in, yeah, So if you type in on YouTube, it is called the name of the molecule, V. So just empty V, right? But with the D in the beginning. And then the name of the molecule, the chemical name. So here, I'll just copy paste the whole thing. And I can't really do this on TikTok, unfortunately. Sorry, TikTok, you're crazy. So I can't really help you. There we go. So that is the name. If you search this on YouTube, what you see right now in the last comment that on YouTube, that should allow you to, this is where it's at. Also, I see somebody's trying to come in to speak. Red Ace 137, no problem. You just please drop a subject matter in the chat, and then we'll incorporate this into the conversation somehow. So tell me exactly what you want to be talking about. I also see that we have quite a limited crowd today, I guess because it's Christmas, which makes sense. Mostly on TikTok. What's up, Ronan? Happy Christmas, Nathan from the UK, waiting for family to wake. Nice. You guys gonna do gifts? Hello, holographic. Oh, holographic is referring to the handle. Nice. Reddit has some great info too. Oh, absolutely. Spending the holidays on the East Coast with the family, seeing a lot of drones out here. That's not the Scotch talking. That's funny. I forgot that the drones are a thing. Apparently, it's a big deal, huh? Okay. So, welcome everybody to Simulation Talk 142. And regular listeners of the channel would know the number 42 is a very special number to me. Well, and in general, it's the answer to life, the universe, and everything, which is kind of interesting that it falls coincidentally on Christmas, which is kind of cool. I like it. I'm all about it. Yeah. If you guys want to hit the like button, I would appreciate it across platforms. The algorithm definitely loves that, and I would appreciate it. Welcome to Simulation Talk 142, the channel that usually revolves around simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have found actual proof that we live in a simulation. A few years ago, I discovered that if you project a diffracted laser on a surface and ingest a spirit molecule, you will see code running in surfaces. This observation has now made the rounds around the world. There's at this point, there's pretty sure over 2,000 replications. And it's been making some noise in terms of how many people are talking about it. Even Joe Rogan mentioned it. At this point, it's just a matter of time, I feel, before we... Ooh. Okay. Before we enter a more serious stage about it, there's quite a few scientists that are weighing in on it, some trying to explain it away, some interacting with it in a more serious manner. But overall, it seems to be finally generating the kind of conversation that I was hoping that it will eventually, and here we are. We meet here almost every single day. We used to meet here every day. Now my schedule is a little crazy and I'm trying to balance it. So how I used to inhabit. And now I'm forced to kind of show up every other day, unfortunately. But we are here almost every single day discussing the experiment. And I'm answering questions as well as we're talking about other things like science in general, religion, spirituality, philosophy, God, whatever comes to mind. As long as you don't preach, and we can always have a fun discussion about whatever, we basically touch any subject. There's no things that are off limit. This is what we are. If you are on TikTok and you want to see the fuller version of all my videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, which is Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts, which gives you access to all the videos of their full length. And I've recently added a members program on YouTube, which allows people to get earlier access to my videos, Zoom calls with me, with the members group, as well as private, depending on the tier of the membership. And I'm adding also a lot of stuff in my personal life that I will not have on any other social platform. So all of that is in the members program. This will allow me to focus on the project more full time. So I deeply appreciate all the people that already became members. I really, really appreciate you. It means a lot because believing in the project at this moment is crucial for me to be able to produce what I need to produce in terms of content, as well as the experimental protocols, so we can focus on them. Views on dream state, astral projection, etc. They're super interesting. I don't think they're the same states. I know people sometimes talk about them as if they're kind of like one thing. I think that psychedelic spaces are one thing. I think, and they're more real than I guess what we call reality. Dream is, I would put it one level down, even though some people would disagree with me. Astral projection, I don't have a lot of commentary on because I've never done it myself. I don't really know the difference between what the difference would be between astral projection and just launching on the molecule. But if there is a difference, I can't tell you what the difference is because I never experienced both. Is AGI going to be high OpenAI? So I think AGI is us. I have a whole video about this called Are We AGI? You can check it out on YouTube. I think it's also on TikTok, if I'm not mistaken. But in it, I'm approaching this idea that we're about to find out, how are you, enigmatic wondering, is that we, in fact, are the AGI that we're so scared of. And all of these AI tools, they're just reflections of us. They're basically extensions of us. It's something that I touched on at the end of my conversation with Danny Jones, which was a lot of fun. If you go to Danny Jones' podcast on YouTube and you look for my conversation with him, I think about an hour before the end, that's when we start talking about this whole stuff. But I think they also have timestamps there so you can actually see it. Democratized reality is my favorite still, holographic. Like I said, I will make a shirt like that. And if it makes any revenue. Was that you the one that came up with that? Any person who comes up with a concept, if I'm putting it on a shirt and it works well, I will definitely share the revenue with that person, as well as a lot of the proceeds are going to go to some good cause. In my case, it's probably going to go for something that has to do with the homelessness situation, because it's for some reason, I have a bleeding heart for that particular plight of the world more than others. I'm not sure why. Watch that when I'm concerned about the AI we are building. I understand. And there's, just like with any point of progress, we always have to be very aware of what we're doing. But again, being concerned about something that is inevitable doesn't do much good. That's all I can say on that subject. I'm puffing in the simulation. I like that. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you. I'm tempted to try this, but a bit worried I may never be the same again. That's a legitimate concern. There, I would say that's actually something that you definitely want to consider, that you can't actually unsee this. So that's true elusive truth. Also, elusive truth, I think if I remember correctly, a lot of people, for some of my videos, a lot of people kept on commenting, elusive truth sent me, or something like that. Was that you? So who are you? If it was you that people were referring to, who are you? JH, thanks for whomever gave membership. It's probably either Ebony or Devin, who were giving away memberships left and right for a few days straight. I couldn't be more grateful to them because it helps the community grow. Peter is saying, love to hear about how you first connected the dots and made this discovery new here. No problem, Ian. We're working on a whole documentary about this, so it's not something I'll be able to cover in a live, but we're working on a whole documentary that's going to be describing exactly how I came to all these ideas. And yeah, just like the holographic said, if you just go to Danny Jones' podcast, there's 3 hours of me talking about that pretty with a lot of detail. Another good podcast was the Soma podcast. If you search, that was audio only, and it was actually the first podcast I've ever done on the subject. So if you go to Soma, SOMA podcast, Living in the Molecule. I can't say the name of the molecule because I'm on TikTok as well. Living in the Molecule Simulation. So if you look for that, that's also a good conversation, which I'm kind of talking about the details. But to see all the details, you're going to have to wait for the documentary. But the Danny Jones podcast is definitely something that touches on a lot of the details. I was listening to the telepathy tapes, and it blew my mind. Are you familiar with this? Yep. People sent this to me. So I'm having a hard time with this. I have to listen to more because so far, I don't know. I'm gonna upset some people. This is pretty circumstantial at the moment for me. Like this does not make the cut for me. In fact, I saw this post the other day. Who was it that posted this? I forget. Anybody, it doesn't matter. It's somebody who posted something on X about criticizing some of the tests that they did from the Tom Campbell's Foundation when they tested all the kids with the people who could see without seeing with their eyes. And he was saying basically, well, kind of where I rest on this, which is this is not enough. Like the level of the claim, what is being presented is simply not. There's just too many things that you can kind of explain in other ways. And I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying that because of the level of the claim, it needs more than this, right? And people don't like this. People really want for it to just be true, and that's it. And it's just not where I land. And it might sound weird to people because I'm also making a pretty outlandish claim. But I, at no point did I ask anyone with my claim to depart from um, the regular channels of science to eventually fully substantiate this, right? So I would expect the same rigor for any other big claim. And I'm very open for all of this to be true. It's just that so far what I've heard, I'm not going to say that my mind was blown. But again, I need to finish listening, so maybe I'll have a better opinion, I think, after I finish listening to the whole thing. The director of the film, Aaron, sent me this, and I started listening, and he was also mind blown. So maybe something is being missed in translation, but I will definitely report back when I have more information. And I'm sorry if you're really on this train and you just, yeah, I can't join the party yet. I need to listen more. Paul Wayne Johnson saying what? What to what? Okay, this is a great comment. R1.0 saying, never trust an atom, they make up everything. I love it. I'm going to save it. If you want to, this is another thing I might put on a t-shirt. R1, if you want to email me, lasersimulationx@gmail.com. I know you just said it as a joke, but I really like it. So I want you to email me and tell me your name because I might put this on a t-shirt. And if I do, and it does well, I will always share the revenue with people who made through the idea. Sorry, JR. I will. You want me to scroll for do you know the future? That's what you meant? It's already a shirt? Oh man. We missed the party. I support homelessness too. Support homelessness. After I lost my home in a tornado, this became my personal charity interest as well. Oh, amazing. All right, elusive truth. So tell me who you are. You have 85K subs. That's cool. What are you about? Because I think I was searching for you for a while, trying to understand what that is, and I couldn't find you. What is your channel about? Everyone says the root of sentience is sentire, and that's what makes the difference. I'm not so sure that the root of sentience is feeling, um, or at least in the sense that we perceive feeling. I think that the fact that we feel with our bodies does not mean that that's the only way to feel things. I think that's an extremely parochial perception, but we'll find out. Time will tell. I see the code in bits of red right at the stoplight at night very clearly. Interesting, Rita. That's actually the stoplight is what gave me the idea originally. Is there any? Thank you, Jeff, for the contribution. By the way, I appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Is there any other way you can see the code without taking the molecule? At the moment, as far as I know, no. Well, we know that mushrooms work and Aya works, but that still requires you to take something. So I tried with breath work, it didn't work. The second I have news on that, I will definitely inform people immediately. Merry Christmas, Breezy. I've posted your link several times on my X, YouTube, and Telegram channels. Congrats on your growth. Thank you so much, Elusive Truth, and thank you for all the contributions that you've made to my personal growth. I appreciate you. Thank you. Again, what is your channel? Excuse me. What is your channel about? I would love to know. Hey, bro, do you think multiverse theory is more like there is infinite simulations running? Yes, that is exactly correct. Joan Lang is saying, hey, man, I've heard you compare the code to the language that was alleged on the existence of a carrot program. Can you elaborate on that? Not more than what I already said on the Danny Jones podcast, John. And also, I'm not really putting a lot of stock in it. It's just that the symbols are similar. That's the only thing. And it sounds like the function of arranging the symbols in a particular way to create a function in reality sounds like it makes sense to me. But beyond that, there's not much more that I can say with any amount of confidence, unfortunately. Ludwig Lindner, Merry Christmas. No extras to take. I wish I could film it. Well, Rita, I have met a couple of women that can see the code without the molecule. Maybe you're one of them, you're another woman. Maybe I had a couple of men told me that after they tried the molecule, they could see it without. But I think that this is reserved for some people that are extremely sensitive to that space or more evolved, or I don't know what the deal is. But not everybody can do that, as far as I know. Danny, how would you like people to tag you in other simulation theory TikToks? Sony Vial Player. I'm not. Can you restate the question? Thank you so much for the like as well. Which company is going to achieve AGI? We are AGI. The documentary probably in about 7 to 8 months. The second we have a date, we'll announce it. It's kind of hard to say because production, it kind of fluctuates. We're waiting to see when we're going to get the next investment. Now, we are still working on it, even without these investments, but certain things you just can't do without money. So we're waiting to be able to do the next step of the documentary. Are you talking about the code in the other realm? Do you mean in general, Neil, or right now about a particular thing that I said? I see so many people describing your topic, but they seemingly have no experience seeing the code. Yeah, isn't that funny? I'm very happy, Andres. I've been trying to tag you here and there. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, you can tag me, of course. I'm not I'm not like appearing in chats. Like I don't do that. I can come and talk about it in the show. There's simply not enough hours in the day to be able to engage with all the stuff that is going on about the project. There's two facets to what I do on a regular basis now, which is the public facing frontier, which I'm doing like kind of like this and other videos and interviews that I'm doing. And then there's the research, which is the heart of the matter. And I'm working on that a lot recently. So I'm going to be focusing much more on the research and the public stuff. I mean, I'll still be showing up and we'll be chatting about it, but that's not really. I'm not like unless until I have a team that combs, social media and checks everything there is to see about this topic and kind of bring to my attention what seems to be important. Until that point, people can keep posting things, but static. Merry Christmas. We talked via Zoom, by the way, 1.5 years ago about Pali Violin and Midnight Mass. Oh, interesting. I think I remember vaguely, but I'm glad we did. If you want to give me some more details, maybe I might remember it more. What do I research? Well, Buster's Mama, the gist of it is that I'm claiming that I found proof that we live in a simulation. And it's a broad topic, but you can watch my videos on the topic to kind of give you the deeper impression. You can go to YouTube to Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts. Watch the trailer for the documentary we're working on. This will give you an idea. And no, we're not talking about a philosophical proposition, but an actual way to observe that. I'm glad you like it. And then you feel free to tell me what you think. Again, it's Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts. In fact, you can just follow the link tree in my page on TikTok. We might or not what? Live in a simulation? Well, according to me, there is no not. We for sure are. But, I mean, of course, nobody's under no obligation to accept that. Have you heard of Tom Campbell? Yes. So somebody passed my materials to Tom Campbell. His organization has now, I believe, received the research proposition that I've put forth. What's your theory on who's running the simulation? Do you think they are like us? Not at all. And I'm not really theorizing because I see them all the time. They are, and this is upsetting to some people, but they are mechanical insectoids. They are insects. They're not malevolent. They are very, how should I say? They're very matter of fact. So they just tend to they're almost like the management company. They only tend to the functionality of the environment. They don't deal with, as far as I know, they don't deal with the entire tapestry of ethical code and checks and balances. They just make sure that the environment works. That's who is running our environment, our space-time. There are other beings and other levels that monitoring where we are in terms of our ethical progress, spiritual progress, and it kind of goes between the levels. But the ones that are immediately above us, the ones that actually make all the differences in terms of what the universe looks like and how it operates and all that stuff, that's these insectoids. Can people invest in the documentary? Yeah, if you go to the trailer, which is here on YouTube, under the trailer you have our GoFundMe page, and if you have the opportunity, we would deeply appreciate any donation because it costs a lot of money to make a movie, and at the moment we're just relying on public funds. So we're still working on it, even without the funds when we have time, but we will definitely finish it much faster the more people donate and the more we have the ability to do so. Can you draw a code example? Yes, it's in the trailer, so you can check it out in the trailer. It's on a piece of paper in the trailer. Dango Thoughts on YouTube. I would no, that's exactly my point, Andres, that I'm saying that I know. I know without a shadow of a doubt that we live in a computational simulated environment. When you point the laser on a wall, does the code differ when pointing the laser on a human body? No, same thing. The code, I believe, codes for the fabric of spacetime, not on different properties inside of spacetime. So I don't think we would see a difference in the code unless we change something fundamental that has to do with the laws of physics. Buster's mama saying, I'm not kidding when I say the Chicago Cubs World Series win in 2016 made me wonder. What's up, Casey? Happy Kwanzaa and Christmas and all the other holidays, Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. Happy that. Oh, Ebony's in the house and already gifted 5 people. Ebony, you are, what a blessing you are. I don't even know how to thank you. I'm definitely going to find a way. Ebenezer, she also volunteers to help manage the Discord group, and I'm deeply grateful to her and the other people that are there. Lovey Whittles, and she also shows up, and almost every time she donates 5 memberships on YouTube, so it's always worth joining our YouTube channel because you might get a membership from people like Ebony, or you can sign up yourself. It also helps the project. Thank you so much, Ebony, and Merry Christmas, Core Fam, indeed. There's a channel on YouTube called Psychoactivo. Popular interviewed the ladies who make the investigation on the T-tapes. It's very interesting. I'll check it out. Psychoactivo. Cool. I'll check it out. I appreciate it. Hey, Danny, have you tried filming the diffracted laser up closer for a long while, then watching over the footage? Yes. This is going to be in the frequently asked questions, actually. So, John, thank you so much for your contribution. Deeply appreciated. Merry Christmas, brother. So yes, you can film it, but it doesn't matter how much you slow it down, the code will be running in the same speed. It's almost like the speed of light. It has to be going at exactly the speed that it does because it has something to do with the functionality of reality and or your consciousness and maybe the relationship between both. Have you read Simulacra and Simulation? No. How would you know things is if we were living in the simulation and it's indiscernible? So it's not indiscernible, but also this is what this channel is all about. I'm talking about exactly why we can know, or at least how I'm claiming that I know. And it's, I mean, the full answer to your question is hours of me talking online. It's not a simple answer. So I think I will table that. You can kind of watch my again. If you go to my Danny Jones conversation, I think you will get a good clue as to why I'm claiming that I know. John, again, John, thank you so much. It's so generous of you. I appreciate you. And Ebony, you as well, as always. Somebody said, sounds like Scientology. It is. This is Scientology 2.0. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. All I got to do now is develop Tom Cruise's manic laughter, and we're good to go. Got to work on that. Say what you will, this guy has been nothing but net for, what is it, 60 years now? It's kind of insane. My channel is about many things in this bizarre world. Well, I'll check it out. Wait, can I? Why doesn't it allow me to just pull somebody up, Elusive Truth, and follow them directly from here? This is stupid. Wait. No, this can't be you. Will you email me the link for your channel, brother? This is exactly the problem I had last time. It just won't show up. Please email me, lasersimulationx@gmail.com. And it's listed on this website if you forgot. Wow, Ludwig, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Today, the generosity is through the roof. Thank you, Ludwig. I appreciate you. Let me see what's going on here. I'm going to try and get through as many of these as possible. Saw Joe Rogan give you a shout out. Yep. Indeed, Casey. Big space news today. We flew closer to the sun than ever before. It's as impressive as landing on the moon. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing it, Enigmatic. Wondering. The code has a directional form, yes. It has a few vectors that it's moving across along around these buckyballs that it makes, big columns that are spinning around and in its own spot. Kind of goes like that. Oh yeah, if you guys want to tap and support the channel or hit the like button on YouTube and X and Twitch and TikTok, it definitely helps the algorithm. I promise you that it does. Even if you think your one like will not make a difference, it will. Oh, Casey's asking a question. Dan, have you put any thoughts on how to integrate being an experiencer, i.e., have made contact? Ooh, you're going to have to explain the question, brother. I'm not sure what you mean by that. With the scientific community in this new paradigm. Oh, wait. Oh, it was two-parter. Dan, have you put any thought on how to integrate being an experiencer, i.e., have made contact with the scientific community in this new paradigm? Still don't quite understand what you're asking. Are you asking, have I put any thought into how we're having the conversation with science? Like, how do we communicate about experiencers? Oh, that's easier. How you doing, brother?
Hi.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, so I just wondered if you put any thought into integrating, like, because you're obviously an experiencer. You've talked to an alien before, the frog guy, right?
Bro, what are you talking about? That's crazy.
What's that? What do you mean?
I'm kidding.
Oh, you fucker. Yeah, so, and I know, like, people are telling you, like, don't mention that part or whatever, because the science guys get weird, but it just seems like we are moving into a new paradigm. And
I think so. Here's the thing. It's gonna sound so it's really funny. That's a really good question. I think that what a lot of people that are more from the very just mainstream science channels, I don't. The thing that I think they don't understand is that we're changing, like this way modality of addressing the world is going to become secondary, and I don't think they realize this yet.
I don't know
So
exactly.
they're behind, and I don't even realize it.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so it's
I think
on
it's
the
either.
one hand, I'm gently trying to nudge and say, hey, like, wake up. There's like a different thing happening. You got to catch up.
Hmm.
But you got to do it gently because you can't, because first of all, it's very easy to slide into uh, like something that might come across as condescending.
Yeah, you don't want to make them wrong.
Yeah, well, it's not even about that because I'm not trying to make them wrong.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
There is a deep value to science that I personally value. You know me by now at this point,
mhm.
but yeah, it's like changing, and what are you gonna do about it? Like that's the truth. That's what it is, and you gotta accept it. But if they never were never open to these modalities of thought, then it's kind of hard to communicate that what somebody invested their life doing is now going to go through a major shift, right?
Yeah,
So how do you also, I don't know if it's always my job to do that or my role. To the extent that I can, I sometimes would hint at that. And this is my whole conversation about science kind of threw away the baby with the bathwater, with kind of like believing that no human account by itself really holds water across, if you're talking about over long periods of time. And I don't think that's true at all. I think this idea is oversold, that we're just all dum dums that can't make a difference unless we have scientific tools at hand. It's true that we do tend to confuse like certain things because we want them to be true, and for that we do need scientific tools to discern. But ultimately, everything is based on human experience first, right? And that is being kind of overlooked. Can we communicate this fast enough? I think it will happen by itself. I really trust the system. I don't think.
yeah. And I'm thinking that like there's got to be some way to, you know, with our vocabulary about how we speak about it, some way to enroll them into it. You know, like get them interested. You know, I mean the laser experiment is a great example. I think it's the perfect example of like getting science into it because it's observable, repeatable, like you've been saying. It's just
But and you saw how much reaction, and you saw how much resistance there still is to it. It
oh
used to
yeah.
be. It's almost like they keep moving the what is it called, the flag, or what is it called,
Yeah.
the goal, right? It's like
Every
it
time.
used to be like one of the biggest criticisms that Terence McKenna used to have hurled towards him, which is like, if this was real information that was revealed to you, how come you never came up with anything that we could replicate in the real world and like do something, right? And Terence claimed that it taught him how to grow specific mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, well, that's not enough, and but it matches what people in the Amazon say, which is the plants showed us how to do these things, right? Now, the thought was always, well, maybe there's some truth to it, but ultimately, most likely, these less obviously to us more primitive cultures, like the way that people viewed it, right? Most likely they're confused because they don't have the scientific method, so they thought of it, but they say that the plants showed them, right? And sometimes it doesn't really run through because in some cases, plants that are literally have no connection to one another from different parts of the Amazon, from the jungle, and somehow they still knew, right? So then I think that what happened over time, people kind of relaxed a little bit, and they started realizing that first of all, this is like very condescending and not politically correct. So if there's anything that PC culture made that I think was good, was that where people kind of start realizing, oh, other cultures just have different ways of understanding things, and it's not necessarily that they're wrong. It's just that they're looking at things in a different way. And then I think that ultimately we're going to have to shift all the way to understand that experience is primary and it's not secondary. But when I believe the shift will actually happen is if we can, so like like I said, Terence used to get a lot of the criticism that he couldn't reproduce something that would actually happen. And now I'm like, hey, here's one thing. It definitely come to me in that space, and you can replicate this and everything. And then the conversation, the game of explaining it away still begins, which is, well, no, because this can be explained in many other ways. Like, sure, but that's not the question. The question isn't, can you explain it in many other ways? The question should be, how do you discern between whether it is this or it is that? Right? That's the question. Not can you explain, because the human mind is really good at explaining things in all kinds of ways. So the way I see it, the only time where it's fully going to click into this other perception, for scientists at least, is if we can produce some kind of a result in the world that is robust, repeatable, and influential to the extent that people really start noticing its effects in culture, through the frame that experience is primary and not secondary, that you couldn't do if you believe that experience is a secondary thing. So if you could produce some kind of a result, build a technology, I don't know, heal people, build a spaceship, do something through perceiving the world through the frame of experiences is primary, then scientists will not have a chance. Then they would have to reframe. It's not going to be a choice. They just have to. Otherwise, they're not following the scientific method at that point.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking about today. Like, it's there. People are falling behind. They're, with the new paradigm coming in, there's a lot of people like the science world and stuff. They're falling behind the people that are out like us. That are out front. It's going to be interesting to see how to bring them up to speed on it.
And in some ways we're ahead in our understanding, and in other ways we're not. There's a lot of other things coming from physics that are also very important, and you and I know very little about it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's all a collaboration. That's
bring them in. Definitely. Yeah, finding the right vocabulary to enroll them in what you've been talking about, what we're talking about is would be great for bringing the big grants in to really put some money into the project type of deal.
Yeah, I believe 2025 is definitely going to be a fascinating year.
It's coming, dude. If we could just keep the planet from blowing up. Ooh.
Yep. To all the people that are new here, just so you know, Casey became a good friend. He's a regular on the live, and he quite a few nights in a row he was doing some demonstrations live, which is crazy. He was doing the magnets experiment. That's crazy. Reminds me of me, man. That's awesome. And by the way, to your question, Sir Edward Ross. Yes, I'm familiar with Stephen Wolfram's work. I've been following it very closely for the last 5 years. I've been watching, I think I watched all the technical lectures that they did. Some of them are like 4 hours long, where they just sit and try to analyze this thing. I don't think anybody in the world has done that. It's just watched all of them.
His new theory or his take on how time actually works.
How everything works.
Yeah, especially time more recently. And when I was watching that, I was like, wow, that really fits.
No, it's just funny because the technical talks are basically just him and Michael, his name is, I forget his main guy. The guy that was his kind of main thinking machine. He's a mathematical physicist. I think Michael is his name, but somebody can correct me. But they were like sitting there, and sometimes it's just like, just silence for like good minute or two where they're just trying to code in, and then they're like, and it was brilliant because at the same time people live, they were doing it live at first, and then live a bunch of people from the world and also scientists kind of chiming in, so like working in real time. It's amazing. And then and then he would get frustrated about nothing, and then he's like realized that he actually didn't understand. It was really funny. I just love the dynamics there. Like Wolfram would be like, wait, what? No, because this can't be because of a billion reasons, right? And then he would like list them, and they'd be like, oh, okay, wait, so what are these edges over here? And then Michael, if his name is Michael, I forget what it was. I think it was Michael. But then he was he would very quietly would be like, because he's like a genius, right? And he like sit there and was like, well, these are the edges I told you about before. Like, so he like takes him to the beginning, and then he goes, "Oh, okay, okay." So like, so he just get upset for no reason about something he himself did not understand. It's really funny. So I really nerded out on that. But it takes some, I used to. It was during the pandemic, and I was walking for hours. For hours, there was nothing to do. I was just walking
Right.
in the valley, and I was just walking for like 5 6 hours, man. And I would just
Wow.
listen to these things, and it was the most beautiful time of my life. It
Wow,
was,
that's awesome.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Yeah, I love watching the way his mind thinks. You know,
yeah.
just
No nonsense, no nonsense. Just
just
like,
oh, amazing.
yeah. Wait, what is Funkit? What is this? How'd you spend Christmas, by the way?
For me,
Yeah,
I'm just staying local. Yeah,
cool.
going to parents' house, stuff like that. Chilling.
Oh,
I think
parents'
I'm going to
house.
go to Vegas for Duran Duran on 28th. That's gonna be fun.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice, man.
yeah,
They're still playing.
yeah, yeah. They're out. They playing the Funk and Blue, the new casino. So
The original cast of
yeah,
the.
I'm pretty sure.
No
My
way.
wife might correct me on one of the members, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Whoa. Oh, and somebody's saying, love the Christmas thumbnail, man. What you talking about? Thank you. I like it. AI is really incredible.
What did you do out in Joshua Tree?
Oh, I was taking some time off with the family.
Oh, cool. I love
Yeah.
Pioneer Town. Do you ever go to Pioneer areas out there?
No, we were in 29 Palms, so right
Okay, yeah.
right outside the Joshua Tree. And I love it because that's where my first meditation retreat was. There's
Yeah, we
really
go
special
there a lot.
energy there. Huh?
We go out to the desert a lot. We love it.
It's funny because I'm not a big fan of the desert. I don't like the
Really?
desert. Nope.
Hmm.
Nope. I don't like it. But I like Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
weird. Like it's different. Like I'm not a big fan of the desert. Now, as I got older, I have less and less things that I actively dislike. So it's not like I'm gonna go like I'm not in the habit of like complaining about wherever I am. So it's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I'm here. I'm gonna find the best in it. Like, but if I have a choice, I would prefer lush forests
Oh, yeah.
or I think my favorite is mountains always, and forest is the second favorite. And if you can combine these two, this is why I love Big Sur, because you have everything.
Oh,
You have
God,
the
yeah.
mountains, you have the forest, you even have the cliffs, and you have the ocean.
Yeah.
Like everything kind of meets together. It's amazing.
Have you ever been to the Esalen Institute up there?
No, I really
wanna-
want to. At some point, I really gotta go.
Yeah, I want to do it. I want to get up there when some people are out there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the desert was always my least favorite, and but since I did my
That would
first,
be a great place to do the laser experiment at Esalen for a group of scientists.
I mean, yeah, I mean now it's making the rounds. I wrote up. Well, to be more accurate, I kind of wrote the general information, and then Nico helped tremendously to arrange it in a way that will be intelligible for scientists. So thank you so much, Nico. I don't think he's with us here right now, but um, and I've been sending it around, and now it's kind of going around. So eventually, and I know a few people showed interest to try and do something with it. We'll see.
And we all know apparently Strassman's got a project going on with it, but who knows what that is?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Again, I'm only engaging with what finds its way to me. I don't reach out. I don't, and it's not an ego thing. It's just it feels wrong. Like the whole thing just it's almost like it wants to just flow.
Yeah, my wife brought that up today. She's like, "You know what I like about dance thing?" And she mentioned that exact thing. I know it's really good.
Yeah, because it's like it's supposed to. I feel like the size of it is so enormous that pushing it in any particular direction just feels futile and silly. It's like it's this enormous thing. So it's like, okay, you just let it work out, and you just put the best intention, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, when I run it by like the smarter people that I associate with, I always bring it up and like, God, the possibilities if this is what it is, and boy, their eyes just light up, going, "Wow, that is really fascinating." I can see their mind going like, "Oh, this is really interesting." Luckily, I've gotten a couple people that are older, experienced, educated to do the molecule, and so next will be the code to see get their brains on the subject. It'll be fun.
Wow. I have. Hold on. Let me see if I can stick around. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, go for it. I'll mute it so it's not too loud.
No, you're good. I just want to answer some questions because I feel like people. All these UFOs make me wet. Oh my god. Somebody said all these UFOs make me wet between my legs. This is hilarious. Damn. Sensory crosstalk notice. Thank you for answering my question, man. Me and my friend are big fans, and we follow why I've always heard about people seeing insectoids. Oh yeah. No, they're definitely real, man. They're real, and they're here. Been debugging Margolis since the alien tech. I don't know what not sure what you mean, silent siren. I like the handle though. What about UFOs and the correlation between UFOs and nuclear weapons? What do you think? Is there part of the simulation? If you're talking about the UAPs, the truth is I have no idea. I've never seen the connection between them and the psychedelic space. Now, something tells me that the timing of everything is just too perfect. So I'm pretty sure just because of the timing that there is a deep connection. I don't know what it is though. Maybe they're protrusions from a higher dimension. Maybe that's how they appear in our dimension physically. This is a lot of guesswork.
Yeah, they usually show up when there's a mass genocide occurring on the planet. I've noticed.
No, they've been around. Like I think that these correlations, I don't know if I would make them because there's a lot going on all the time. It's just that whatever the news reports, it flares up because somebody decided that they want to talk about something. But these things are happening constantly, nonstop, right? I think that the question that was asked here is actually quite relevant one about the nuclear weapons. And the reason I think they might care about that is because nuclear weapons touch on something very fundamental in reality. So it might be infringing on their space, to be honest. So it's almost like we start playing with tools, sparks that appear in their space. So now they're like, okay, whoa, hold on. We used to be untouchable from biospace, but now you're doing things that are kind of infringing on our space, and now we have to intervene. Now we have to have a say on the matter. I think maybe that makes some connection. What'd you say?
The Dalai Lama had said something like that when somebody asked him about it. He's like, what we're doing here is affecting their place. And said once.
Well, yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. Also from Psychoactivo, also our Discord. He's a rad guy. Yeah, he did a few interviews with KY Dickens on the telepathy tapes. Yeah, I got to finish these telepathy tapes because everybody are talking about it. And yeah, I'm having a hard time with it so far because
the telepathy talks with autistic kids?
Yeah, because I'm not hearing anything crazy. Like I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me, but like I'm not hearing anything. I don't understand what the hype is. No. So, but I might most likely I'm missing something. So I'm gonna finish listening to everything, and then I'll have more.
I know it's no real surprise that autistic kids are totally in tune telepathically with their parents. It's like, is that a shocker? I don't think so.
No, because there's just everything I'm hearing so far lends itself to other kinds of explanations. Mm-hmm. Like it's the mind is like. So my first impulse is to first try and explain it in the most physicalist way possible. For many reasons. First of all, because on the level of emergence that we're in, the dominant factor is what we would call physicalist perception, right? Yeah. So even though we are clearly moving to a space with more and more people having some kind of added abilities, we came from a place of both from a paradigm and experientially from a place where everything is seen in that light. So if I can first steelman the other side, I'm happy, right? And so far, there's nothing I couldn't steelman because all of it kind of relies on I can explain all of it, everything I've heard so far, just by a super acute awareness of the present moment with the person, from facial expressions to micro expressions on the face that only the subconscious can read. There's so, cold reading, right? That magicians do, right?
Yep.
That's basically it, right? And they don't have special powers. They just really paying attention. And so far, nothing that I've heard falls outside of that. It's possible that there's some information that I'm missing. I'm very aware that that's probably the case, because I don't think there's well, it's possible that there's a lot of hype without anything there, but I'm leaning to believe that because at this point in history, when there's a lot of hype around something like this, there's probably something there. I haven't found it yet, so I don't want to comment yet, because I think I'm just gonna, first of all, my information is not complete, so I can't really comment. But like I said, so far everything is perfectly well explained by just paying really close attention. I'll give you a specific example, which is from a different domain, but just so you understand to what degree. So, Richard Feynman, the famous scientist, he was also, aside from being a prankster, he was also a really just curious mind as a whole. And he loved doing all kinds of experiments with himself. Like he would do, forget the exact specifics, but he would like count to himself like different objects in his head, and he wanted to see where exactly does he lose track of the counting if he reads a newspaper, right? Can he read a newspaper at the same time count? And then he would like really pay attention, like where is it that he loses the ability, right? And because he was playing these games with himself his whole life, he found out really, really interesting things about what the mind can actually do if you're really playing with it, right? One of these things was that he found out that our sense of smell is so much more developed than we realize, right? Because we only think like dogs can kind of like, he's like, no, we can do a lot of these things. People just don't realize. So, like, what he would do, he would, and this is when he tested this, he managed to do it so accurately, so often, that it became a party trick, which is that he would ask people to walk in a room, pick up any book from a library, and pull it out and just put it back in. And he would walk in and he would just kind of look at the books and he would smell them.
Yeah.
And he would almost 100% of the time find a book.
That's cool.
Why? Because if you're really paying attention, you can tell. Because the book is either has still a little bit of warmth on it. There's usually perfume or particular scents that people smell and we never try. So if we would see it, it would never occur to us that the simplest explanation is the most straightforward one, which is he could actually smell it, right? And things like this, the world is filled with so many examples of this kind of thing, where I would not be so fast to jump to telepathy.
Yeah,
because
in the past, like new age type of new thought type of things, they'll talk about, oh, you can see the protons on the book itself where people have touched it. In actuality, it's what you're saying. There's a smell thing going on that, it works both ways, but I don't think it's necessarily the protons that you're seeing on the book. It's probably your sense of smells which guiding you to that book, and you don't realize it.
Yeah, and also again, it's like there's ultimately, and this is where it's kind of funny, because a lot of my long-term viewers and listeners who are here a lot, this is where we kind of depart, and they don't agree with me. And first of all, I'm deeply grateful that you guys are still here and that we can have this disagreement and still enjoy our time together. But I know that I depart from a lot of my listeners there, and I'm aware of that, and I'm not trying to be difficult, but it's just the case that magic is an incoherent concept. It's not, and I know you disagree with me on that too. It's just an incoherent concept because
I agree with you totally. I just love saying the word magic.
Oh yeah. Because ultimately, what you mean, the only thing you can mean by actual magic is that there's some kind of a thing that you can do that has zero explanatory power in terms of how it happened in reality, and yet still reliably you can reproduce that result by this magical way that it just happens, and and it should, the only way that magic would make sense is if the explanation would not exist even in principle. And that is simply not the case about the world. Because no matter how crazy it is, eventually you will find a set of events that occurred, even if that set of events is outside of our current understanding. That's fine. That's fine. I'm open to things that are supernatural according to our understanding at the moment. But ultimately, they are just more things we understand. So if you talk about telepathy, the thing I want you to be focused on, if you're actually investigating telepathy, is not that it's just possible, but how exactly is it possible? Because if you're saying entanglement, that's not something you can actually measure at the moment in a lab. You can't actually do like a test in somebody's brain because it's a wet situation. It's not something you can control in the lab. So you won't be able to address it that way. So you have to postulate some theoretical framework of what's the medium through which the information travels, because that has to be the case, right? If there's still, because this is something Terence McKenna once said, which is that we don't think of it, but we already have a form of telepathy, which is speech, right? We just don't think of it as telepathy because we do it all the time. But if you think about what speech is, it's crazy. Like I have meaning in my brain, and then I have an impulse to engage in a behavior that I call speech that basically creates little mouth movements that creates air pressure waves of a particular kind that then is picked up by somebody else's ear, translated the air pressure waves into meaning. That is telepathy. It's just that the medium is air. Okay, so I can just, okay. So what people mean by telepathy, they say, no, 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 but you don't have to speak. Okay, what's the medium then? Because there has to be one. There has to be somehow information has to be traveling somehow, right?
It's thought, yeah.
Okay, but where is it? So then I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying where is that medium? What is it? Is it space-time? Is it a particular field in the space-time? All of these questions are the important questions. It's not just like, look at this, it's possible. Yeah, but if you don't have a theoretical framework of how this works, there's a lot of other ways by which this is also possible. Like you can smell a book, or you can read somebody's facial expressions. Magicians that are really good at cold, thank you, and I appreciate the gift. Magicians are really good at, I don't know if you ever met one. You sound like you probably met quite a few, or maybe you can even
like real magic. Yeah.
No, like people that do cold reading really well.
Oh yeah, I'm great at it.
Okay, yeah. It's wild. It's wild. Like somebody can literally read your mind. That's what it comes across, right? Because people are not realizing how transparent they are. We think we're so sophisticated. We're not. There's some people that specialize in reading everything about your behavior, the context of your behavior. If you're nervous, if you're nervous, by the way, so here's an example. If you're nervous, it immediately lowers it closes in the possibilities of the kinds of thoughts you're going to have to a pretty small amount. So like if you're nervous or scared, and these emotions can easily be detected by people who are really paying attention, now the chances that you have any happy thoughts about everything, that's out the window. That's out. That's not existing. So now the set of possibilities from which I'm picking is much smaller. So it's much easier for me, right? So now all I have to do is to invoke some information from you by asking you the right kind of questions. And usually after one or two questions, I already know exactly what you're thinking. And then there's usually very small sets of very used words that are the most used words in anybody's mind. And these can be triangulated according to a few other questions. So it's actually pretty easy to do if you train a little bit, if you practice a little bit. So is that telepathy? Well, go ahead.
So bringing this back around to the code, there is a science of for all this, for like the astral realms. There is a scientific way to approach it where it's the standardized. Each letter corresponds to a number and blah 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 blah. So when you think of a word like say my name Casey, that has a vibration in these astral realms or whatever you want to call it, but there's a vibration going on. So that's like with the code, and so other people can read that energy too, that vibration. So I'm thinking about with the code itself is like the symbols have a specific vibration to them.
Okay.
Each one, and when they combine each symbol, it creates a thought form. So I'm trying to look into like, okay, so when we see this code, when we're looking at it, what happens to us in that space? Have you noticed anything? Like, do you even look at the code anymore, or do you see the code in the console? How's it work?
I see the code every time people every time I show it to someone.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I'm recently being more enjoying my space here, just because I know something, and I don't know why, but I have like a strong intuition that I'm about to spend a lot of time there. So it's almost like I'm just saying I'm just kind of enjoying this space for as long as I can.
Quick question about this.
Yeah.
So when you're seeing the console, do you see any of the same symbols that you're seeing in the code in your console set?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I see it also in the other patterns that I see that are the extracurricular kind of stuff that I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, because when I first started exploring the molecule, it's always going to be triangle, circle, square, diamond, and where the surfaces meet. The codes, the actual code letters and stuff, usually don't show up until the later stage of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one moment, without going into a long story, boom, I no longer see any external visualizations ever. It's always, I got to shut my eyes to see any of this stuff. But that's why it's so fascinating to look at the code, because yay, I get to see something externally now, and they are the same symbols that would be in the internal. When you shut your eyes, same symbols. It's interesting.
Yeah. So let me see if I understand you correctly. So you're saying that the vibrations that the symbols create in our minds, in turn, make us produce certain kind of meaning tapestry that then paints reality a particular way. So you think that that's how it invokes?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It very well could be that. Just so the science, like the Hermetic science that I've been studying, it's a science about how you read people's minds. It's because it's each letter and the combination of letters, the words, they have a root vibration and all this kind of thing. So you can determine what someone's thinking by the vibration that's coming through. It's kind of a long explanation,
right? But that still relies on the perception of the world being like the way that we understand and experience one another is through this higher realm only, and not through any of the very simple, like what we would call physical explanations. Which
I don't need to see anybody in person to be able to read the thoughts from afar.
I see. Okay. So that's different though. Yeah.
So with the code, I'm looking into like, okay, it does. The code's got to have something to do with painting our reality. Obviously, like Gallimore would say, our minds are world-building machines. I'm suspecting that this code builds our realities, right?
I think it builds some fundamental element of our reality. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's why. So, and this is something I'm going to be releasing a conversation with Zoltan. So with Zoltan Bathory from the Five Finger Death Punch, and he finally decided that he was willing to talk about this publicly, about his experiences with this stuff. And something interesting that he said, because he was very much of the mind that which is a very common thing for people who are long-time travelers, which is that there's really nothing but him, and it's all an expression of him in some way. So there's only one real consciousness, right? And we're all expressions of it in some form. And it was very clear to him at that point, like very straightforward. And he said, in our conversation, he said, I have to be honest, after seeing the code, I, I had to kind of refrain. I'm not so sure about that anymore because it seems to be completely external to me. I'm not
Yeah.
controlling it. I'm not, no matter what I do, it doesn't change. And usually I can change a lot of things with my attention, he said. And this I just can't. So that tells me that at least on some level, I'm not this code. So there's something else here. And
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I'm a little surprised that that's surprising to people.
Yeah, right. Um, a couple things. One is with psilocybin, the code changes for me at least.
It does.
Yeah, when I use psilocybin with the molecule, that's when I'll get letters like
Mm.
clear, triangle, the letter A, the letter O, in blue also. It'll show up in blue sometimes, which is interesting to me.
That is interesting. I would love to
Yeah,
know more about that because I've never heard this before.
yeah. So yeah, it's interesting because that's how it used whatever. Another thing I wanted to mention to you real quick was that when we were talking, there's a dream I had years ago before the molecule was around my world, and it was intense. And in the dream, I knew I was astraling, so you can tell the difference. There was a console, and there were two people in my one on the right, one on the left, and that I saw it clearly. It was big 360-degree circle with 360 different points and symbols. Blah, it was all changing, and it was being shown to me like this is the console for controlling it. I didn't know what at the time. Yeah, it's interesting. And also the people that were on left and right of me, one was a guy I knew named Mahidi, and another one was a guy I knew named Michael. So nowadays, like after I did the whole molecule thing, I figured out that when I had my experience in contact, it was with a lion-headed woman that I realized was Mahit. And so I was like, oh, it dawned the other day, like, okay, I get it. There was Mahit showing me the console too before the molecule. So it's just this whole thing about how the frog guy for you, he's making contact with these different intelligences. Mine was without the molecule, but she was guiding me to the molecule.
Yeah.
And with the molecule, guiding us to reality. It's a real deal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, to me, what's interesting is that what this whole thing is that if the whole thing is a software, or I guess it's the mind space or meaning space, then it makes perfect sense how they communicate like that through pure meaning, because they are the tapestry of the wiggle, so to speak. So it's almost like the old they used to have these pianos with the like a long card that you put in there and then just plays the piano. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like Wild West Days, yeah.
Exactly. So to anybody who doesn't understand what I'm describing, is essentially they used to have this piano that you put this like coded piece sheet of some sort, and it had these little prongs on it, like little pieces that almost like Morse code, like on it in different places. And every time it would be fed into this. It was a special piano, so it would be fed through the slit into the rolling thing inside the piano, and every time it would pass.
Which is exactly how computers were ran.
Well, yes, exactly. And then these little sticking things on the sheet would move the part of the that is connected to the string that then is connected to the where the piano is like playing the key, right, to the key. So then it would just like it would be perfectly arranged to play a melody. It would just play by itself. Okay, so that sheet would be the equivalent of the pure meaning space, and these little things would be equivalent to kind of like little wiggles on in that space, and we would be the piano. So if that sheet is moving through you, it would animate you perfectly, just like it would play music through the piano. It would animate you with your behavior, with your speech, with everything else. And I think really that's how everything works. So if this is how things work, it's not crazy to me how they would be just telling you something without saying anything. They don't need the symbolic representation, the letter or the word to tell you something, they would literally move the inside of you, the wiggles, to the state of understanding that, whatever that
Yeah,
is,
good.
right?
That's going back to what I was saying. Exactly. Each letter has a corresponding in that realm that they're into. Words have a exactly. That's how it works. Yep.
Yeah, and so I don't even find it that perplexing. Like, this is
No, it's
why I
all
don't believe in the
science.
word. When I hear the word inexplicable, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't believe in that. I think it's just a matter of like levels of being able to explain things, but eventually everything is explicable.
Yeah.
And the only thing that isn't is reality itself, which is why everything is happening to try and figure that out. But everything inside reality is completely, it makes perfect sense. It can it can be insane. It can be insane in terms of what we understand now, but it's not insane ultimately. It's just like whatever it is, it is. And then however it works. So I guess accepting whatever it is, in fact, in that instance, allows us to kind of float easier in that space and then occupy states of understanding versus states of paralysis or awe. Those are the two options. You either freeze or you have a very overt reaction and you have like a too strong of a reaction. So there's too much energy, so you can't actually interact with the space in a balanced way. Or you relax and you allow it to be what it is, and then it plays with you and it allows you to understand it. I think that very often I've discovered this later by speaking to a lot of people, which it wasn't obvious to me. People having a lot of the time they're having a really hard time not putting content in. Like people are having a really hard time not trying to overlay something. Like they see it and
Yeah.
they're like, ah, it's this, it's that, it's these things. I know.
Yeah.
Relax. Relax. Just let it be for a second. It will tell you something you did not expect, and it will be more amazing than anything you could ever imagine.
That is so
It
true.
will not be an angel, it will not be a demon, it will not be any of these things. So these are childish thoughts. They're not the thought of a mature being. They're thoughts based on fears, on misunderstandings, and attempts that are very primitive to come in the world. So like
Yeah.
the
Exactly. There's these in our subconscious these monsters, but they don't have to be. We just call them monsters for whatever reason. Yeah, exactly.
no, and don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can definitely encounter things that are disturbing, okay, and they might even be disturbing in principle. Like they can be disturbing, just that's what they're designed to do, okay. But even there, if you allow, and in some cases it is difficult, I'll be honest, but if you practice, you even there you can wear enough curiosity where all of a sudden you see the deeper thing there, like what is actually being appropriated versus just the boom, right?
Yeah.
There's like a deeper function there, and but
Yeah.
that's harder to do because we immediately recoil and like we don't want to interact with that.
Yeah, like some of these things that happen are, for the mind, they can be poisonous to the mind or whatnot. But if you're professional about it, you can extract the wisdom from that poison, and it's but it could be dangerous for some people. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is why it's not for everybody. But I always try to stay as humble as I possibly can and remember that, hey,
Totally.
people have wisdom from all kinds of. Sometimes it is kind of amazing, right? So like you would have all this experience in one domain, and then you show up for some other thing that you've never seen before, and then somebody else will be so good or so wise in that domain. And what's interesting is that sometimes it's just with life in general. Like you would meet. I'm trying to think if I have any particular examples. I think the last time I had something kind of along the lines of that was, oh, first of all, ADHD moment. 1 second. Cool guy 42. How are you, brother? That's Irv. He's my laser guy, and I don't see him here very often. I'm glad he's here. saying, I definitely feel like something contacts us through that and perhaps serves as a gatekeeper to see if scaring you will wake you versus letting go. Interesting. It's almost like this, and it refers directly to what we were just talking about. So back from the ADHD moment, I think the last time I had this experience of, I guess, humbling experience of that kind was, I think it was my first Burning Man, and I met this guy there. Forget his name. He was older. He was maybe in his 60s, and he was just chilling there, very close to our camp. And every day he would just step outside. He had this little RV, and he had this like thing canopy that he would put out, and he would come out every day, and he would just sit there. Oh, he would every day would go for a run, and later I discovered that he actually runs around the whole thing. So it's, I don't know,
Wow.
it's like 30 miles or something. I don't know what it is. It's like a marathon in the desert, in the heat, right?
Right.
And then he would come back, and he would just sit there, and he would just have his little whiskey and just sip on it. And then he looked like a really cool guy, and he was hanging out with everyone. So I spoke to him, and I discovered that he never did a drug in his life, not once.
Wow.
And I'm walking there, right? And I was obviously I was already I was also younger, so I had a lot more things to prove to the world and myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt very proud of myself of the amount of psychedelic experience that I've had. Not a lot of people had that. Like I've done things that are just like not a lot of people have done, and I always felt very proud of that. And the humbling moment was when I realized, when I started talking to him, because when you go so deep into these spaces, you kind of pride yourself in like understanding things about life that nobody understands. And I started talking to him, and I realized, oh no, he understands a lot more about life than I
Right.
do, for sure.
Totally.
And then I discovered that he's like two Purple Hearts. He was in the Desert Storm. He was in the army.
Wow.
He overcame a lot of trauma. He never did a drug ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you not even curious? He's like, no. He's like,
Yeah.
I know my mind. And
Yeah.
he was like, I could see in his eyes that he knows exactly what he's talking about. And he said, and also, he looked like he was having a great time all the time, truly. And I was like, wow, that he understands something I don't. A lot of things that I don't. And he came at life from a completely different angle. He didn't have to do one psychedelic in his entire life, and he understood things very deeply, and he incorporated them, right? And there's something about that no matter where you're coming from and how much you think you understand, there's always going to be somebody else who understands a lot more through some other way. So now I'm very careful with just passing kind of like an immediate, like trying to place where I am versus somebody else, because you never know how much somebody knows, because of you just don't know. You don't know what anybody experienced and what they went through. They can be a complete idiot, or they can be a master, and you just don't know. You will never know. It's never in the way that people appear. And I loved everything he did. And I almost like I not almost I easily I can say I started admiring him. I was like, that's incredible. I obviously asked him a very silly question, because I think we were like at a dry spell of words, and there was nothing to say, and I asked a silly question. I was like, doesn't like the heat doesn't bother you? And I immediately realized the stupidity of the question, because he told me he was, in the army and all that. He was like, yeah, it was like in the desert, like we're partying. I was in combat for like, it was like this in hotter than this, with my full gear. It was like, it's like, this is nothing. This is, and there was this joyful, childlike wonder about the world. And that's the thing that got me more than anything, because people tend to land, and it's funny because the people that are kind of jaded about life, they think they've arrived. People who went through a couple, like, yeah, we all have something, right? So all of us go through some kind of a turmoil in life that we have to overcome and deal with. And very often people just get to this place where they had a couple of heartbreaks. Maybe their parents abuse them. Again, I'm not downplaying any of this, but it's just that they land in this place of like, oh, I know what life is all about. It's nonsense. Everything is empty. And then just like, and anybody who's trying to have any kind of novel or interesting thought about anything, they're just like, yeah, one day you'll figure it out. There's nothing there. They're not even realizing this is like a tiny step along the path where you can go through war and whatever, and you can still sit there and have a true wonder and interest in life and world and people. And I mean, that's a much higher place, right?
Yeah. I worked at a homeless shelter for a while, and with the guests there, we formed the deepest bonds because it's just an experience of real human wisdom coming through that place.
Yeah, sometimes like that's actually kind of crazy. Like, I mean, sometimes they're just crazy, for sure. But sometimes you would have like a homeless person that's like, well, those that start spilling like wisdom about life.
Yeah, they've experienced it.
It's crazy. Wow, there's so many comments. I'm just ignoring the comments. Okay, hold on, let me see. Let's see how well they track what we're talking about, or people just having their own conversation, which is also awesome. Discord, glass inside the box, 3 mirrors, able to wiggle light. Let's see what. Oh, let's see when cool guy 42 came into the conversation. Oh, I feel like right there. He's saying, I've had sleep paralysis for 20 years. LOL. After the molecule, my experience would have changed. Interesting. I think I knew that. Physicists on YouTube are starting to ask questions here to say they can learn how to poke holes in reality. Yep. And then Ebony's asking him how. Creating your own reality then. Yes. I never used to have sleep paralysis until about 10 years ago I started. Now it just happens when I try to OBE. Well, first of all, Ebony, that to me is mind blowing because when people say things like, when I try OBE to OBE, it was like as if it's like like going to the supermarket. I would love to know more because I've heard a few people now talking about this kind of stuff, and to me, that's like I don't even know what you're talking about, but I accept the fact that some people can do it. Have you ever tried to out of body experience like consciously to try and aim there?
Oh, totally.
Oh, really? Wow. You guys are on another level, see?
Yeah, so you use tones. You can hear the different tones. You modulate the tones and to go to certain places.
Is it before you fall asleep, or is that the astral projection thing?
Well, if you do meditation, you can just get in a meditative state.
I meditated. I'm meditating for years. Like I've done Vipassana. What now? 9 retreats.
Yeah.
And I'm for a while I was doing like 2 hours every day. And yeah, I've reached interesting states of consciousness, but nothing that would amount to out of body experience.
Yeah, for me, I have to lay down to get out of the body, but yeah, a mantra usually helps.
The only time I got the closest, it wasn't quite that, but I guess what would be kind of toying with it was when I actually did the Monroe Institute, the gateway thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because the tones are the way you do it.
Yeah, that kind of felt. I have to say that I felt something working there. A few different experiences can share on Discord, but started having out of body experiences where I float off my bed. Yeah, he told me that. This is a way to put a glass inside a box of 3 mirrors and to be able to wiggle light enough to take a glass of water from the mirror.
The thing about the out of body thing, I think that is also what's occurring like when the console appears and stuff like that, or the frogman. That's the same state as far as I can tell. It's just like quantum state that you get into. Because that happened without the molecule, with other people in the room, and there's certain things happen, like people freeze, and then they come in. It's just like there's, we all know there's like different realities right around us, but it's.
No, I would love to experience it. Maybe you can teach me when I come visit.
I think you are experiencing though when you see the console. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm in the room.
Well, I know, but you are when you leave your body too. Like when you go out of body, like
I see what you're saying, but at least it doesn't feel like that. The console just appears in my regular state.
Yeah, and so, but it's the same place.
So you're saying that my consciousness is moving somewhere to see the console, is what you said?
No, I'm just saying that your vibration is changing so you can see the console, and it's the same thing with astral
traveling. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I fully accept that because I can feel them changing the vibration. I can feel them changing the energetic frequencies. I don't know what any of this means, but I definitely, I scroll down and the first comment I see from the bottom up is eat eggs. Okay. I'm like, what? What are we doing here is the exact right question. It's being in reality with like kaleidoscope of the past mixing. Talking about the simulation. April. Carlos Castaneda, The Art of Dreaming. Yep. Great books, by the way. This laser trick with the glass of water is how the tech Moonflower JPEG was created inside of a machine with SQL. Sorry, too technical for me right now. Interesting theory, gatekeepers. I've seen some weird stuff during sleep paralysis, but I've never really thought much of it. Interesting. Enjoy the moment. And yes, we are on a wonderful adventure. Dubstep Kid 801. I concur. There are ways to build molecule of light with SQL in order to build virtual models of the system. Thank you, Spox. I am flowy. It does feel flowy. Language is so fun.
One thing I've noticed for myself, at least, is that.
What's up, Tampa, Florida? Go ahead.
If I do the molecule, I'm always like eyes open, wide awake until you get a ton of it into you to be at the right place. But when I experiment with like keeping my eyes shut shut my eyes and then start doing the molecule and keep them shut, what I've noticed is that on the journey to saturation is that before saturation is when all like the quote unquote scary things would appear, like, oh, what is this? And, oh, like that. But once enough molecule gets in me, at least, then it's like, okay, now I'm at the right place. None of that stuff exists anymore. It's just all the good stuff. But, I'm wondering if people just.
I've also noticed that the second round in the same sit can very often drift towards darker places, which is kind of weird. Like it's exactly that second one, and a lot of people report this. It's almost like your brain ran out of energy to hold you up. Something called rake with long fingers, dripping oil with long frazzled black hairs. Smoke. Oh yeah, I was talking about some experiences with the dark side.
And then along the lines of like, once I go, oh God, I had to take a leak. And I should have gone to the bathroom first. I said, oh, I might as well go to the bathroom now. But I was so saturated. I go, oh, well, just might as well shut my eyes now that I'm here. And I'm immediately in the room, and there's like a little Lego man in a white room with a little Lego toilet. And he's like, sits down, looks at me, stands back up. It's like this little Lego man, like, is this how you go to a bathroom? Like, it's like, okay, is this my mind or is it something else? Trying to learn it. It's so funny.
Dude, I have a lot to learn from you because I don't know about any of this stuff. Things would happen to me sometimes, but I don't know any of the rules or how to navigate very well. Maybe I can practice when I see you. Popped out of his body like a genie out of a bottle. DHD.
One thing's for sure, it's a physical thing for me. A lot of moving.
That is for me as well. Get the emails. I haven't checked yet. Let me see. Oh, yep. Elusive Truth. I got your email. Perfect. I will respond tomorrow. Today I'm tapped out. And For me, okay, this is a great conversation about OBs. I would love to explore a little bit more, maybe also on Discord. Do you think your discovery could have anything to do with what's happening in New Jersey? I think it's part of a larger set of things that are happening, which is the, I guess what you call the awakening, or what the UAP community would call the disclosure. All of these things, they're part of the same process, which is like we're about to find out more of what reality is all about in a way that's very, coherent, en masse, and it would signal the transition to some kind of new kind of world 2.0, whatever it is. But that's all I can see the connection of. But specifics, I don't have. I know, from what I understand, next year is supposed to be some big thing, some big transition of some sort. Not clear what it is, and I'm not going to postulate because I think it's beyond postulation. But as I always say, follow your heart and make sure that you live an ethical life. that I can say with confidence. That is a good idea. All right. Okay. So thank you guys for this incredible engagement here. I think I need to get some rest because I have to take my fiance's parents to the airport in 3 hours. So that's gonna be fun. So I'm gonna try and get a little bit of sleep. Just gonna do like a couple of short announcements. If you want to join our Discord group, Anthony will be welcoming you there. You can go to YouTube to Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts, and follow the link of the Discord on the main page. Our website for, let me put it in again, for everything that has to do with the project, from protocol to lasers to all the good stuff, questionnaires and everything else, is all going to be on codeofreality.com. Codeofreality.com. It will also, thank you, bless you as well, April. It will also show you my email, which you can email me. 3:33. Well, for you in New York, I guess. Yeah, nice. For me, it's midnight 33. Luckily, but it isn't 1:42 that I'm ending it. I mean, it's not going to end at 1:42 because we're going beyond. But if you want to follow me across platforms, it will be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. It will be Goller Danny on X. It will be LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts. I've also added a membership program on YouTube, which will allow you to get early access to all the videos I'm releasing outside of the lives. It's going to include weekly lives for just membership program membership members. It's like what for members, and it's going to allow you to have a Zoom call with me, both with members and in private, depending on the tier of the membership, and private things from my own life that will not be included in any other social media platform. I deeply appreciate all the people that joined the membership program already, because it helps me focus on this project more and more in full time. I appreciate all the people that are donating both their hard-earned money and their time, like Ebony, to both donate memberships and operate Discord and other things that she's volunteering to do. She also created an incredible illustration after her first experience, and so I'm going to be incredible artist. So I'm going to be exploring some of these possibilities of trying to recreate the code. I never thought anybody can do it accurately, but I think she did a pretty incredible job. I want to mention Irv, who's building all of our wonderful lasers and operating behind the scenes, building all kinds of things, from AIs to questionnaires to the new website to like all stuff tech. He's just a whiz, and I'm deeply grateful for everything Irv is doing. Thank you, brother. Couldn't do it without you. And Casey, I appreciate you, man. You're such a staple of the community at this point. It's incredible. And all the people that I'm forgetting to mention, because there's so many that are volunteering, and Ben, Devin, and Lovey Whittles, and Oh my God. Ebony, help me. Who's the person who created Discord? I forget their handle. And actually, yeah.
Mitzi? Oh,
No, it was Ebony will tell me in a moment. But yeah, so deep thanks to him as well, because people literally just took it upon themselves to just help out, and they're doing incredible work. And I'm kind of blown away, honestly, and I feel so grateful that this inspires people. Aza, yeah, no, Aza is the one that Azamun. What's his name? Do you know? I forget. And this is I should be ashamed of myself, but I'm just terrible with names in general. Um, and also when I get tired, it's extra bad. Um, but yeah, I just want to say that I truly am deeply grateful and moved by the fact that so many people are believe in the project, and they volunteer and they put in the work. None of this goes unnoticed. The second these projects are funded, all of this work that was put in by people just because of the goodness of their heart will be reciprocated. So I thank you guys. And I know everybody here just kind of believes in it, but I want a voice again that none of this goes unnoticed. Medic. Oh, I didn't even know that the Maddox is his name. Cool. Okay. Well, deep thank to Maddox, if that's his name. Azamun is definitely his handle.
Thanks for putting out so much of your time into it. You're here every day, and that's huge.
Almost every day.
Yeah,
But it
well,
was yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah. At this point, I can't claim the everydayness anymore, and I'm gonna get better at this. But yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Truly, I'm always filled with so much joy to see that this means something to people, and hopefully we can keep inspiring. And in 2025, I'm expecting wonderful big things to happen. And the second we have the capacity to make bigger changes happen in the world, I would love to address as many of them as possible, starting with homelessness. We got to make this thing go away, man. This is crazy. The fact that we still can't fix such a fixable problem drives me kind of insane. So hopefully we can give it a real stab and remove the government from the picture in terms of trying to fix it, because they can't. I'm not saying remove the government itself. I'm saying remove the government from trying to fix it because they can't. We should fix it. And how we do that, it's not clear, but slowly we're going to be able to remedy a lot of these crazy things in this world. In any case, thank you so much, everybody. I deeply thank you for everything that you're contributing. Merry Christmas. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao. See you, Casey. Bye, Ebony. Irv. See you, everybody. All right, everybody. Good night. Deep thank you. See you, Mikhail.